Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is Women in Business. This is a show where we celebrate women from all around the world who step forward into the light to help inspire and motivate other women to come forward and share their story as well. Today, we're welcoming back a guest who's been on another one of our programs and another two programs, actually. And I love that when people come back and visit with us because there's always more information to share and learn. We are welcoming from Canada someone who is an expert when it comes to nutrition and vitality, and she is an eating psychology coach. It's Amy Bondar. Welcome to the program, Amy. It's so nice to have you.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. Thanks for having me again. It's great to be here.
It's fabulous to have you here, especially when we're celebrating women in business. And the business that you're in is something that can really apply to everyone, if you think about it, because we have to make decisions every single day when it comes to our nutrition or the lack thereof. So tell us, I know you've been doing this for a very long time. What is it that got you started and inspired?
Yeah, so I'm 20 years in practice, and I've always been interested in the psychology behind why people struggle with food. You know, nutrition, it's our longest lasting relationship. We eat every single day of our lives, and it's really here to make us feel our best and give us the energy to do what we love. But growing up, you know, I had a mother who was a chronic dieter, and some of my closest friends struggled with eating disorders and unwanted eating behaviors. And so I was always very curious to understand, of course, the best food we can eat to make us feel our best, but to also get to the root and understand the psychology behind why people struggle.
Thank you very much. And as you know, this is a business program. So we're going to be talking about, as a business owner, when it comes to our intuition, whether we're listening or we're not, sometimes there is a price to pay. What's been your experience in this area personally as an entrepreneur?
Yes, so I really believe that our body is our best business partner. It is always giving us feedback to let us know if we're on path, if we're doing what we love to do, and if we are fulfilling our mission and purpose. And when we're not on path, when we're not doing what we love to do, and we're not living our life based on our loves and our highest values, we typically get unwanted eating behaviors, we can carry excess weight, and we get physical symptomatology within the body.
Really great points. Thank you so much. Now, is it possible, in your experience as an expert and also as a human, to follow our intuition all the time?
No. Simply put, no. But there's these feedback systems that we have that really help us to bring us back to our intuition. So I'm going to just explain those so that we can set it up. But, you know, basically, let's just talk about our first feedback. It is our intuition. The intuition is that little whispering. It's the little voice within that's letting us know, yes, we're on path. Yes, we're doing what we love. Yes, we're making the best business decision. And that intuition is ultimately leading us back to our soul. It's our soul's calling. And when we ignore that intuition, which we often do, because as women especially, we can second guess ourselves and there's so many messages outside our own self, our own knowing, then we get the second feedback, which is the social feedback. And that's typically when we ask advice of others, or others give us their opinions about what we're doing in business or what they think we should be doing in business. And so we already know the answer because we've heard the whispering. We know the answer, but yet we ignore it. And so we seek that social feedback. And when we ignore the social feedback, which we often do as well, then what can often happen is we get that physical feedback. And that's when the symptoms start to show up. And we're so often not conscious that those symptoms are there as the knock on the door to let us know that we're not living in alignment, that we're not doing what we would really love to be doing. And sometimes, Jacalyn, those symptoms can be things like headaches, digestive stress, insomnia. The indecisions and the uncertainty about doing what we're doing could be leading into our PMS and our hormonal imbalance. So there's so many symptoms that are trying to give us the message to get us back on path. And when we ignore the physical symptoms, then we often will get what I call the universal smackdown. And that's when we get the major life crisis, right? We get the divorce, we get fired, we get the major health crisis. And that smackdown is ultimately trying to get us back to our inner knowing, our soul, the intuition that we've ignored all of that time. So I agree. And as what you said, I don't think that we can listen to our intuition all the time. But if we're aware of these other feedback systems, they're always trying to get us back to the intuition. And that's where the wisdom is as women in business.
Wow, that is really brilliant. That makes perfect sense. Given that we're both women in business, I know for myself, I'm running full on. I'm going, going, going. And there are times when my intuition is telling me, you don't want to have that piece of chocolate cake. But I say to myself, hey, I really want it. I deserve it. I'm going to have it. And so then there might be a price to pay later. But I think we make these little agreements with ourselves, even though the intuition voice is speaking up. And I know for myself, I think, okay, once in a while, it's okay. Is that misleading?
I don't think it's misleading. I think there's reasons why we want the chocolate cake, right? So I think I've explained in another show as well that there's three different reasons why we might desire a food. The first is a physical craving. So are you craving the chocolate cake because you're go, 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 and your anxiety and your stress are really high and your adrenals are burnt out, your blood sugars are unstable, and your nutrition hasn't been that great in the day or the week. So you might crave the chocolate to sort of give you just a kick of energy to keep going, to give you the energy to keep doing everything that's on your plate. And sometimes we get an emotional craving for the chocolate cake, right? It might be more that we are doing things we don't want to do in our day. We're go, 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 but a lot of those go, go, go things are not fulfilling. They're actually things you feel you have to do and you need to do, but they're not that inspiring, right? And so that's making you sort of feel like you need a reward to get through your day because most of the day you're not doing what you love. And then it's the soulful pleasure for the soulful cake, or the chocolate cake, the one that you mentioned, Dr. Jacalyn, is that sometimes you just want to have it because you love chocolate cake and it's a soulful pleasure. And from time to time, there's nothing wrong with that if it's eaten in joy. So knowing and understanding why we're craving the foods that we are is a very significant piece to be successful with our relationship with food, but also to be successful with how we're doing food to support our business.
That was really insightful. Thank you. And I think I'm the third one, the soul one. But so I'm also thinking to myself that women in business who are watching this now or on the replay, they may be saying to themselves, well, in order to be successful, I have to do a lot of entertaining. I've got to be going out to dinner, courting new clients. Maybe I've got to go to a happy hour. So how can we do what we need to do in a social manner, listening to our intuition, which is saying, okay, in order to get business, we've got to do this. But at the same time, we've got to protect ourselves and take care of ourselves.
Absolutely. That's a great question. I think especially when we're entertaining and doing that to gain clientele, and just sometimes we have to do that for our business. There's a few ways that we can approach that. Number one is that you may be in the position where you can make the suggestion of where you eat. So that way that you know that you're meeting at a restaurant or a coffee shop or a pub or whatever it's going to be that has healthier choices that are more in alignment with your health value. Number two, there's always wise choices to make wherever we go. So even if you're entertaining and wining and dining, you can be doing it really smartly, right? You can always order the entree that's got beautiful piece of fish or chicken, or if it's a locally raised meat, you can have that with the seasonal vegetables or with the beautiful salad. So there's ways to choose things that are smart. You don't necessarily have to drink. You can always drink sparkling water, right? So if health is a very, very high value for you, but your business is also a high value, you may ask yourself, how will making these wiser, healthier food choices and drinking choices in this meeting actually help me to be more productive in the meeting, be more focused, have better mental acuity. So making your food choices can be healthy even in those situations.
Thank you, Amy. I know I've spoken to a number of people on this platform that during the pandemic, after the pandemic, they struggled with money issues. They struggled with their business going downhill or something happening with their family, and they turned to food for comfort. And the food actually became, I don't want to say like another person, but like a huge presence in their life. And I know one woman was telling me she was hiding food around her home because she was ashamed that she was eating and that her husband didn't understand it. Have you seen these types of things before in your work?
Absolutely. And the pandemic was huge to reveal our unwanted eating behaviors and emotional patterns, and not only with food, but with alcohol as well. We have to understand that how we do food is often very much reflected in what's going on in our lives. And so, yes, if there is financial pressure, if there's loss of business, listen, the pandemic took so much joy and pleasure out of our lives. Our fun was taken away. And so often food was brought in for the fun and pleasure and excitement. But it was also brought in as a stress reliever for so many people. And so the first thing that we can just do about that is just having that awareness. It's just a consciousness that, this took place. I could see why I used the food. It helped me to feel comforted, or it helped to relieve a certain stress, or it helped to bring me joy and fulfillment when I wasn't feeling it. And instead of feeling guilty and shameful about doing that and using food in that way, the wisdom is to learn from the body, the business partner, because it was just giving you that feedback to let you know that things were out of balance, that you weren't living in alignment, that your path has been skewed. But the opportunity, instead of going into the shame and guilt about doing it, the opportunity was to really sit back and reflect and be like, okay, well, where is life calling me now? What am I most meant to be doing with my life now? How can I now take this challenge that I've been given through the pandemic as an example, or maybe with the lack of money and the lack of a business, how can I pivot that? And how can I make new choices and new decisions and maybe find a different job that's even more fulfilling than what I had before? So learning to ask these kinds of questions in face of a challenge will help you become less dependent on the food in that situation.
Well, that's certainly exciting.
Yeah.
When we think about our intuition as our business partner, how do we frame that up when we have actual business partners who are pushing us outside our comfort zone and our intuition is raising its hand and saying, okay, I feel trapped right now and I don't know how to accommodate what this business partner wants when my intuition is saying this isn't really a good fit?
Yeah, that's a really tough situation to be in for sure. And again, so often it's that body feedback that's letting us know if that business partner is challenging us, right? Because so often we're maybe doing things we don't want to be doing, or making those choices that don't feel like they're in alignment. And so if you're noticing that you're getting the anxiety, you're getting depression, your stress levels are really high, you're not sleeping, you've got stomach pains and bloating and all of these sorts of things, that's where the wisdom is trying to let you know it's time to effectively communicate to your business partner, to let them know that this decision, this choice, this path isn't feeling right. Because what happens is we don't often communicate it, and then we internalize it. And the more we internalize the things that aren't feeling right for us, especially if we're working with somebody else, we have another business partner, then what happens is that is what creates our own inner turmoil and our unwanted eating behaviors. And as soon as we have all of that stress taking up time and space in our mind, we dysregulate. our hormones dysregulate, our nervous system dysregulates. And so communicating is key. And for women, we often don't express, and we often don't speak our truth. And it's very common to know that when we're not speaking our truth and communicating, we can often get underactive thyroid issues because our thyroid is in the same position as our tongue. So this area here is all about expression. So I often coach women to really speak their truth. Even if it's challenging, because so often within the truth is when resolve happens. And then you can typically come to some sort of a balanced decision with the other person, with the other business partner.
Good direction for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Amy, there's so many different trends out there, for lack of a better word, when it comes to a lifestyle choices about how to eat. And we see that you can order meals already made, they're shipped to your door. We hear a lot about, and I practice this myself, intermittent fasting, the keto diet. We could go on and on. So when your intuition is saying one thing to you, for example, I am not a vegan, but maybe I should be a vegan. I love meat, but maybe I should. How do we come to terms with what nutrition is for us personally?
Yeah, that's a great question, because you're right. There's so much conflicting and confusing information in the nutritional world. And sometimes the outer noise of it all, the mass consciousness of thinking about food, can sometimes skew our own intuition. And one of the things that I think is really important in terms of practicing the listening of the intuition is just learning that nutrition can be experimental. If you are intuitively feeling like maybe I should be eating less meat, or maybe I should be eating more, or maybe I should intermittent fast, or maybe I should be eating 3 meals a day, whatever the intuition is telling you, whatever that body wisdom is telling you, just experiment with it and just put it on for a little while, right? Try it on, right? It's like trying a new outfit on, trying a new style. And so you don't have to be stuck in that nutritional choice. That nutritional choice is not right or wrong. It's just what your body is asking for in the given moment of the given season of where you're at within your own personal cycle. So trust it. It's just really about letting your body try it on. And if it doesn't feel good after a certain amount of time, listen to the intuition again and go to the next thing. Our nutrition's not meant to be one way. It's not meant to be linear. We're not meant to be following and eating the exact same way all year long, and for many years, right? So learning to change, adapt, and try different things and hear the body. It will always give you feedback to let you know if what you're doing is feeling good for you.
And I think it's so important to work with someone like you, because we do get so much information shared. People just voluntarily tell you what you should be doing. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I hear people say, oh, you have ulcerative colitis, you should do this and you should do that. And my intuition goes, I don't think so. You don't know what my situation is. But you actually can customize something for someone based on what they share with you. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't recommend anything until after my very first intake. And I spend 90 minutes with somebody getting their health history, their current health, looking at their supplement and medication lists. I take a look at their lifestyle, their stresses in their lives. I take a look at their possible, unwanted eating behaviors. And then I do a deep dive into their nutrition. I also have a very extensive nutritional analysis that helps me to detect nutrient deficiencies and organ system imbalances and hormonal imbalances. So with all of that information, then I will personalize and recommend for a client. But yeah, we don't know what everybody needs, and not everybody needs the same thing. We are so unique and individual, and our food story and our health story, it's sacred. And so working with somebody that can really honor it and see it and put the pieces together and get to the root of why you're feeling the way you do, that's really the only way that you're going to move forward in this noisy world of nutrition, right?
Yes, that is true. And you may have experienced this where people are sort of in denial about what their situation is. They're always blaming it. The reason I have this extra weight is because of this. The reason I'm run down is because of him. It's because it's always something else, someone else. What is a good way for someone to reflect and realize it starts with us? It starts right here with us.
Yes. And it goes back to what I was saying about the body's symptoms, the unwanted eating behaviors, the extra weight that you're carrying is your response and your reaction to somebody else. They're not going to change. What they do is their life, their values. They live according to the way they do things. But it's up to you to listen to the feedback that your body's giving you to let you know this isn't feeling right anymore. I might need to make a change in my life. I might have to go a different direction. And that's the hard work. It's easy to blame somebody else, absolutely. But when we do our inner transformational work, we'll change our relationship with food and our body. And that's really what it's all about, is just, listening to the messages and using it as opportunity and growth and inner reflection so that you can be living on your most rightful path.
And Amy, how does our relationship with food change as we age, especially as women, when we get to be menopausal and we're in business and we're sweating, we have all these things going on? Does it change? If so, how?
Oh, it really does. We're not meant to be eating the same thing all the time. And especially as women in menopause, we should absolutely not be eating and living our life the way, and even exercising the way we were in our 20s and early 30s. And so what often happens is we don't change our diet, or we get imbalanced over time, or especially women in business, we can see our stress levels, our cortisol, our adrenal glands, our thyroid, all of these areas can become imbalanced within our 40s. And if we're not taking care of it early enough, then what will often happen is that in menopause, that's when we get the major feedback, the major symptoms, because we haven't taken care, of the stress and the unresolved issues and the conflicts. And it starts to speak really loudly to us once we hit that phase. So it's important to know that women have to change their diet with their cycles, with different seasons, with different things that are going on in their lives. And as long as we can be in flow with that and listen to the body and the intuition to guide us to change and actually, receive the change and be open to the change, then our body will be in better flow. But when we restrict it, when we try to only eat the one way, when we follow the noise out there, when we do what others tell us to do about our food, etc., that's when we can create a lot more havoc within the body.
Thank you, Amy. We do have a comment from Gaffa Brumley Precy. Thank you for the show. Gaffa is joining us from Ghana in Africa. Nice to have you with us. Yes. So, Amy, one thing I think is also important is in different parts of the world, there are different cultures and different relationships and expectations when it comes to food. So if we are a person in business, a woman in business, and we're traveling quite frequently on business, we might find when we get to other countries, other lands, that the expectation is that we will eat certain food and we will eat a certain way. How can we handle that and still follow our intuition?
Yeah, this is a great question. Well, sometimes, again, we have to learn to be adaptive, and we have to adapt to the environment that we're in. And sometimes we might be in a different country where we're eating different foods that aren't on our typical day to day. So our mindset in these situations is very important, right? If we can get there and we can think, well, I shouldn't eat this. This is so bad for me. It's wrong for me. I'm going to gain weight while I'm here, etc. Or you can just say, I trust my body's going to receive this. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to listen to my body and see if this kind of food makes me feel good or if it doesn't. I'm going to celebrate this food and enjoy it, because when you eat in a place of joy and pleasure and relaxation, you digest your food better, you assimilate the nutrients more effectively, and you burn calories more effectively. Whereas if you're stressing about it and creating anxiety and negating the food experience, you're not digesting well, you're typically bloated, you're gassy, you're going to gain more weight because you're in the stress response, so you're not burning body fat and burning calories effectively. So really the mindset when we're in different environments, even as you mentioned earlier, sometimes when we're at a wining and dining event and we can't control everything we're eating eating, we have to learn to adapt the mind to just make it okay and trust we'll get back on path as soon as we can when we get back home. I just want to add to Dr. Jacalyn, I'm actually working with a woman right now from Jordan, and she travels a lot. And we've had to do a lot of work on prioritizing her nutrition. So to the same degree that she is putting in what she's packing, what she's going to wear to the business meetings, what she's going to, take for her business trip and all the business dealings that she's going to have, we've had to really talk about, to the same degree, can you put that same time, energy, and focus into what you're going to eat on the plane, what snacks you might bring with you, what you're actually going to get to eat when the hotel that you're staying at. So looking at the menus beforehand, actually seeking out health food stores before you even go there, or little juice bars or healthy places that you can grab some healthy things while you're on your business trips. Because so often we focus on what we're going to wear way more than we focus on what we're going to eat. And in order to have that healthy relationship with food, we need to be proactive. We want to be thoughtful and have that foresight, which is really important to maintain optimum nutrition, so that your diet's not always on this crazy up and down swing because you're not prepared when you're traveling.
I really love what you just shared. That makes so much sense, because it takes away that stress and that sense of insecurity and panic. Because when we start feeling like that, now we can't focus on the business. We can't focus on the business meeting.
Exactly. And you know what? So often the hotels that you're staying at, they want to support you and give you the best service. That's their business. So they want to do whatever they can to help you. And I'll tell you, my client, she actually had the kitchen make her bone broth because she had to work she was in Qatar. So she traveled, and the hours and Ramadan, it was a really crazy time. Her work days were midnight till 3 a.m. And so she had the kitchen prepare her bone broth that she could take in a to-go cup and sip on that. So she wasn't eating chocolate and chips and just junk food in the middle of the night, but she knew she had to have something nourishing, and they accommodated her, and she did really well. So there's always things you can do if you have a high enough value on it. And I think that's really key, is that you have to link your nutritional choices and this extra time, energy, and focus you're going to put on making those foresight decisions, realizing how it's going to impact your business. Is it going to give me greater energy? Am I going to be more emotionally poised? And I'm going to have that mental clarity and sharpness. Am I going to show up in vitality, or am I going to show up in exhaustion and panic? Right? So if you link the nutrition choices to what's most meaningful for you in your business, I think you'll realize that you have buy-in. You're going to want to do it.
Thank you so much for that. When we think about traveling, or even if it's by air, it could be by train, what are your thoughts if we take all of the worry away by just doing a fast?
I think you have to just figure out how long that fast is going to be, and if you do well with a fast. So I'll just use myself for an example, but I know that I can typically, if I'm really conscious on a fast, I can do a reset using just some teas and maybe some broth for about 36 hours, but then I can't think anymore. I'm not thinking clearly. I don't have the mental output. I can't concentrate. So that really negates my business, right? So if your body is able to do a fast, maybe it's just a short window fast and you can drink a lot and maybe drink some good herbal teas, then that might be okay. But if you know that you have to output and you have to use a lot of mental energy to do good business when you arrive at the place that you're going, it may not work for you. So that's that intuition piece. That's that practice, the experiment with your nutrition that you would just have to try to see how it worked for you.
And I love the fact that there's no hard or fast rules. Again, intuition is personal to each of us.
Absolutely. Because if we do hard and fast rules, that's when we fail with our nutrition. That's when we set ourselves up for failure, right? And then we say we cheat, or, oh, I didn't fast the 16 hours, so I must not be a good faster. So we start creating these rules and regulations with ourselves, and it really sets us up for a poor relationship with our food.
And you mentioned earlier about a number of symptoms that could be red flags or warning signs. What about our skin, our hair, our nails? They're usually telltale signs too, aren't they?
Absolutely. That dull, lifeless hair, the brittle nails, the pale skin, or even a lot of acne around the skin. These are all signs that the body's not getting the proper nourishment, the proper minerals, especially, or the proper essential fats. And stress can absolutely play a huge role in that, because our stress really depletes the absorption, or it creates an inability to absorb a lot of our minerals and nutrients. And the more stress we have, the more nutrients we need. So if your outer beauty, your external appearance is really important for you, then that's something to also consider as well. How will optimizing my nutrition, how will making the best food choices for me help me have this beautiful outer exterior, because that's going to make me more confident in my business, right? That's really important.
It definitely is. And I know we've touched on this before on food and our emotions, but I think it warrants further discussion. I've been in corporate, I was on business trips, and I would see people pull out a big plastic bag of supplements. I mean, 30, 40, 50 supplements. And then they'd order fries and a cheeseburger, they'd get the cake, and it sort of defeats the purpose. But, you can't be judgmental. But what I would hear over and over again, this is all I need. What's in this bag is going to fix everything. Is that true?
Yeah, I personally don't agree with that. I think that our supplements are there as our fill-ins. I think last show I mentioned that they're sort of like the life insurance policy, right? They just sort of help. They're adjuncts to the nutrition, but one does not replace the other. Absolutely not. Because if you're still eating really poor quality food, you're putting your body into a deficit. So even if you are taking all those supplements, they might be helping just to bring you out of the deficit, but they're not taking you above it. And I guess the question is, what's your goal, right? And what's important to you? But I don't think that our supplements should be the compensators for eating and having a really unhealthy lifestyle.
I think it goes back to that everything in moderation and listening to your intuition. If your intuition's telling you this big bag of stuff, and what's in it, by the way, what are in those supplements? Who even knows?
That's right. Are they high quality? Are they bioavailable? Meaning, is your body actually even absorbing what's in them? Are they supplements that are good for your liver? Well, they might be, but if you're drinking the night before and eating fast food and all of that, it's really moot. They're not really going to do too much, right? Like I say, they might take you out of the deficit or out of that hole that you created, but they're not going to elevate you and radiate you and take you to that next level. And that's something I really love to speak about with women in business is, where do you want to play in the level of business, right? Do you want to be vital? Do you want to have radiation and energy and vitality? Because if you do, your food is the number one ticket to get you there. It really is. Because so often when we're eating poorly, we're gravitational. Our energy is low. We don't have that external glow, right? And that's really what's important. So often as women, we put so much money into, dyeing our hair and wearing lots of makeup that have toxic ingredients and dressing for success. But I believe that we have to eat for success. I really do, because that determines the vibration that we put out to the world. And that vibration is what's going to get you the deal, right? That's really, really important. What you're eating ultimately determines your bottom line, in my opinion.
Amy, are you aware of any business groups for women where they come together because they have like-minded ideas when it comes to nutrition?
Off the top of my head, any specific business groups, not off the top of my head specifically for nutrition, no.
It seems like it would be a great thing for women to come together on and support each other. Like, if you felt like you were wavering, you just call one of your business colleagues and say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And we talk each other off the ledge.
Exactly. I'm about to eat this bag of chips. Help me out here. Right. So it would be so great. It's a great support group. When I'm working one-on-one with clients, I use an app for many of my clients and often in my group coaching programs. And the app is a mindful food journal app. So you don't put numbers, how many calories, carbs, etc. You literally just take pictures of your food and you talk about how you were feeling after you ate that meal. But so often people will go off path. And that's when they typically have had a stressful moment. Something led them to sort of eat the bag of chips or have the glass of wine or whatever it was. And in that real time, I can communicate with them on the app and say, all right, what's going on here, right? What made you veer off path? Let's work through that trigger. Let's work through that emotion so that those off-path moments become fewer and farther between. But if it was a group business, that would be great. Maybe that'll be our show, Jacalyn. Well, who knows? Next show.
So, as we come to the end of this show, before we get into how you can work with people and how they can contact you, when we do go off path, and let's say it's a one-off, or maybe it seems to be happening more and more and more, and then we go and we beat ourselves up and we become smaller and smaller and smaller. When do we need to reach out to you? Is it when we fall off the path once, or we look at the scale, or we look at our waistline? What would you suggest?
Yeah, I'd say don't wait until it's too late. If you go off path on a regular basis, and maybe everybody's different, right? That could be once a day, it could be once a week, it could be once every few weeks. But every off path moment is here to teach you something. It's either to let you know that your physical food wasn't balanced in the day, right? So maybe you didn't get enough protein or fats, or carbohydrates were too low, whatever. That's the physical craving. The emotional craving is the big one. And that's often the part that's missing for people, because we'll eat something off path and then we don't resolve the issue. We don't take time to explore the reason why we chose that food and what we can do to resolve that issue. That's the growth with nutrition. That's where the transformation happens. That's where the magic happens, because the more aware you are of why you do food and how it reflects in your life. So for example, if you're eating the chocolate cake because you had a really stressful business day and your business partner's not in alignment and there's a real unresolved issue there, you'll keep eating that chocolate cake until you get on the scale and you'll be like, oh my God, what have I done months later? So nip it in the bud right at the beginning, really start to use your off-path moments as opportunity. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. They're just moments. They're just moments that are trying to let you know that something is not feeling right. Something is not in alignment, and you're not fully on path with your intuitive knowing.
What I'm really taking away from today's episode is that when we are out of alignment with our emotions, when we start to lose control of our emotions and we lose our power, we make decisions that are not in our best alignment with self. And then we beat ourselves up over it. And then it becomes something where we really need to get some professional help. So I think it's so important what you brought out today is, why are we doing what we're doing?
Absolutely, right? And we're so often not conscious of it. We're just not conscious of it. And our nutritional world teaches us we have to be perfect with our food and we have to eat a certain way. But the truth is life is here, and life presents stresses and life creates emotions. And if we're not resolving those, we'll continue to have those challenges and struggles with food and weight. And that's not what we're here to do. We're here to live in mission. We're here to live on purpose. We're here to fulfill what we most love to do. And if we're taking up so much time and space on beating up ourselves because of what we ate or didn't eat, etc., then we're really missing out on what we're here to do for service, right? So work with a coach like myself, work on resolving these issues, transform that relationship with food, and you'll forever have a beautiful relationship with food.
And for people who want to contact you, and maybe they're ashamed of their behavior patterns, and maybe they're thinking that you might judge them, which of course we know you're not going to, what would you share with them?
Well, listen, I want to tell you, and even there's the woman from Ghana on the call today and the international clients that I see, that unwanted eating behaviors are often silent issues, but they are collective. And there is no border when it comes to eating challenges, right? Everybody around the globe, women and men, struggle with their relationship with food. It is the biggest secret out there, but it is truly a collective issue. So the truth is don't be in shame and guilt about it. Know that there's somebody out there like myself that can help you resolve it and move on. And that's really what it's about. It's transforming it. not hiding in shame.
Amy, thank you so much. Tell us about the free giveaway that you have here on the banner.
Yeah, the free giveaway is wonderful meal suggestions to help you optimize your energy and vitality and have you be that vibrational being so you can go do the work that you're meant to do on this planet. And so all you have to do is just sign up and you get the free meal suggestions that will make you feel and look amazing and also prevent cravings, so that if your cravings and unwanted eating behaviors are more physical in nature, hopefully these meal suggestions will help balance that out so you eat less and less of the things that you know you shouldn't be eating.
And what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Through my website, amybondar.com, you can book complimentary 20-minute phone calls to see if we're the right fit to work together. And all my services and coaching packages are on there.
Thank you so much, Amy. It's been a real pleasure to have you here today. And I'm excited that very soon you're going to be joining our elevated listening team, as you were in the process of taking the power of listening. So we're super excited to welcome you for that.
Thank you so much. And thank you again. I'm most grateful for the opportunity.
Thank you. We hope to see you again soon. Bye for now. And thank you to each and every one of you who are watching or listening on the live or the replay. We really do appreciate it. Please do reach out to Amy. She has a lot to offer. That's why she's here. She wants to help you. Let's all move forward together, supporting women in business. Our next show is coming up, and it's a woman's prerogative. We have women from all over the world who are on our panel. We'll be discussing something special today. We hope that you will join us for that. Thank you so much. We'll see you again soon.